Love this podcast? Support it and sponsor today. Simply head to ozcastnetwork.com for details.
Welcome to the wide world of wrestling. My name's Simon Tackler. Joining me, as always, Neil Walters. Neil, how's it going?
I'm great today because I'm a huge AEW mark, so we get to just talk about that. So, I'm excited.
Yeah, that's it. So what we're going to do now is take a look at AEW Double or Nothing. I don't know, is this like their anniversary show? Is this their WrestleMania? Is this the one we're meant to look at every year as their biggest show?
Surely, it's their WrestleMania. Like they don't do a bigger one than this, basically, and they're only doing 4 a year, I think now.
Yeah.
To have this as their WrestleMania, I think that in terms of how everything's been since lockdown and COVID and all this business, this was probably the best run show that I've seen in terms of how they use the crowd. Like they had a crowd there, basically. Mm-hmm. Like they had I think they had a little section where it had a bunch of fans, it looked like. They're probably just family members and such.
Yeah, friends and family of the crew.
There was like a tiny section where they had some fans and then the wrestlers around the ring. It actually gave it the feel of, holy shit, there's a whole bunch of people here. Like it had more of a wrestling feel to it rather than just being that weird, awkward silence that you were getting at shows.
Yeah.
Especially when something big happens, like you're going to have a ladder match, you have to have some kind of reaction to it. And that, I think they did it perfectly.
Yeah, I really like the atmosphere of the AEW shows. Obviously, it's a lot better because at the very least, they had some wrestlers in the crowd and they've stepped it up. They've got some, family and friends in there. It feels as close as you're going to get to a real show that we've had in the past few months. And this felt like a pay-per-view because of that. It looked good. The set looked cool. Yeah.
Exactly. Putting money and effort into set design, it's such a key thing. Like it's so basic, really. It seems like an obvious thing to do, but having the chips laid around everywhere and that they interacted with them. You saw in the women's championship match, like people getting laid into them and Moxley using them all the time. So I thought that just adding that little bit of extra to it, if you're going to have to pay for this, obviously being a pay-per-view, you have to have that extra level to show, hey, this is worth paying for and this is worth watching.
Yeah, and I think this was worth watching, absolutely. There was something in it for everyone, I guess. It was a mixed bag, and we'll get right into it. The casino ladder match. Talk about a mixed bag. The rules were sort of all over the place. The logic was all over the place. This match wasn't perfect. It was definitely entertaining. It sort of got off the rails at times. Yeah, for me, I get it. Ladder matches have become something else now, and, it's all about the stunts and the big moments. But to me, the fact that they started with Kaz and Scorpio Sky, who are teammates, why would you do that? In your first ever match type like this, why would you do that? Why wouldn't they just be like, yeah, cool, go get it?
Yeah, the first thing I thought, I was like, it's going to be over in a minute.
It should have been.
Surely they just go, yeah, you go get it, and then whoever, like rock, paper, scissors, it doesn't matter. One of them gets it, they get the championship match, they win, and then the two of them can just fight for the championship after that. Like it made no sense. I think the problem with this being a casino ladder match, and I was reading the comments online, what was going on, everybody was like, this is just Money in the Bank.
It basically is with Royal Rumble rules.
I like the Royal Rumble rules. I thought that did make it interesting rather than it just being a straight rip-off of a Money in the Bank match. But because Money in the Bank was only a week ago, 2 weeks ago, that was so good, like unbelievably good. This was never going to be up to that standard. And it just kept reminding me, I'm like, it just didn't feel like a good ladder match at all. I thought it was entertaining. Orange Cassidy was MVP for me. The fact that he comes out straight away, goes over to the commentators and goes, how do you win this match? Oh, I popped for that. It was so funny. And him like just standing on putting the ladder down on the ground, standing on it and just reaching up. he's one of my favorites in AEW at the moment for sure. Orange Cassidy is just a god in my books.
Yeah, well, Orange Cassidy as a character has an excuse as to why he isn't going and just winning when no one's in the ring. But everyone else just felt like a giant dumbass. There were times when the ladder was up, no one else was in the ring, and like, I don't know, let's just say it was Joey Janela, would like push that one over and go to jump on someone. I get it. You know, the match has to go a certain time. It's not real, whatever. But it just felt like at least make excuses as to why you're not going to climb it right now with no one in your way. That kept annoying me. And in the first 5 minutes, JR, who I'm guessing probably had a fit backstage about the rules and the order being Kaz and Scorpio at the start, he jumped in right away and he was like, oh yeah, you're probably wondering why they're not going to win it. They're not trying because they're trying to be good sports and it's all about competition. The fact that he had to put that disclaimer in there for logic was like, come on. Couldn't you just change the order? I don't know. We're getting too
pretty
deep
easy
into
to just
it.
put. Yeah, but wouldn't they have looked at the order straight away and gone, this is a bad idea. Put one of them in, just have him and Orange Cassidy or him and Joey, like anyone else, and then have the other one come in third.
Yeah.
That would make it interesting.
Yeah, it was a bit too cute because I get it in the Royal Rumble, like sometimes 1 and 2 is two mates, or in the Elimination Chamber. Like I get it, you know, it's wrestling, whatever. These coincidences happen, but to do this the first time with that gap in logic just kept jumping out. Anyway, it was fun. These guys killed each other, but the mystery ninth entry was Brian Cage, accompanied to the ring by Taz. What did you think?
I had no idea who it was.
Okay.
I pulled the old Conor McGregor. Who the fuck is that?
Yeah.
I was like, I just don't understand why they made such a big deal about it. And yeah, I thought that it's a little bit of a spit in the face to everybody else in that match that Brian Cage comes in and gets a title match straight away. Brian Cage versus John Moxley isn't that interesting to me, but someone like Luchasaurus versus John Moxley, Orange Cassidy versus John Moxley would be amazing. Any Kip Sabian, right, with Jimmy Havoc, that would be interesting. Yeah, Brian Cage, look, to me, he just looks like a big dude that has a small head. It could be really good. I looked up his highlights and everything of what the guy's done afterwards, and I was like, yeah, he's a good wrestler. But I thought and the commentators were the same as me. There was basically no pop for them. It felt very lackluster as those two coming out. What about you? Did you like it?
Well, look, they signed him back in January or whatever. He was one of the names that was expected to go to AEW a while ago. He's been in, Lucha Underground. I remember seeing him there. He was in Impact. I didn't see him in Impact because I've never watched Impact in this decade or longer. I don't know. Like, I'm a fan of his from when I see highlights. I can't say I've seen that many full matches. I guess fans here in Australia might have seen him live on those World Series shows. He's come down a few times. I don't know. He's a guy who seems like he could be a big deal. He's very athletic, very strong. I don't know. I honestly don't know what he has in terms of personality, though. I can't ever really remember seeing a promo of his. And I'm guessing that's why Taz is with him. I'm a big fan of Taz. I kind of like that. Kind of fits like this, short guy who's a monster. Maybe that's what Brian Cage is.
He looks like if Scott Steiner and Brock Lesnar had a baby, that would be Brian Cage.
Yeah.
And I think that's exactly why Taz is with him.
Yeah. I don't know. Look, hey, wrestling isn't a sport, so to say, so there's no rules on what's fair, but I just hope whatever Brian Cage is on is safe and healthy. Because Jesus Christ.
When he won, I felt as screwed over as when Brock Lesnar won Money in the Bank. I went, really? Does this have to happen?
But Brock Lesnar's a character who's existed in WWE for like 20 years. Brian Cage just showed up. But we'll see. What's weird, they're getting into this right away. They already announced the match is happening at Fyter Fest, which is happening again, not as a pay-per-view, I guess, because Fyter Fest was just one of those weird shows on Fight or whatever. So, yeah, I don't know. They're getting into it. Moxley and Brian Cage pretty much right away.
I can't see no chance that Moxley drops it to Brian Cage. No chance.
Unless they're going hard with Brian Cage.
It would be a huge mistake because I love the Brody Lee and John Moxley angle, and I hope it isn't over because the whole Dark Order thing needs a kick in the pants, and John Moxley is the one to kind of help them along with that. But just to top off the ladder match, I think also that getting 28 minutes for a match, and there was only really like 2 or 3 pretty hectic spots. That was the other thing. If you're going to do a ladder match, you've got to have some tables, bring in some more chairs. Like, it's obviously it's not a TLC match, but you have to have all of those extra elements in there, especially when you don't have a massive crowd doing all those pops. You know, the only time someone went to the top of the ladder really was Darby Allin
with the skateboard. That was amazing.
Yeah, that was the biggest pop of the match for me. But I would have liked to see him, coffin drop off the top of a ladder onto a whole bunch of them or something like that. Like he's done massive coffin drops before, so why not in a ladder match? So yeah, I'd say it'll be a 1.5 star kind of match for me. But
wow, that's rough.
They haven't done many ladder matches, so it's a start.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'll keep an open mind for Brian Cage. We'll see where this goes. Yeah, I don't know.
My mind's closed, but we'll see how we go.
You've made up your mind already. Up next, a total change of pace. It was MJF versus Jungle Boy in a straight-up wrestling match. Great story. These guys have built a little bit of a history already in the existence of AEW. They've both sort of been away because of the quarantine over the past couple of months, but this still felt like it had a story going in. This was one of my favorite matches of the show. This was great. This feels like, one of those Triple H versus Rock or Brett versus Shawn things that's going to go on for like 10 years.
Yeah, I thought it was good. My only issue the whole time was going, if Jungle Boy beats him, are we forgetting that Cody lost to MJF? It was a screwy finish, but then you're like, there's that order going.
Yeah, MJF is a little higher than Jungle Boy.
Yeah, but I love the story. I hope the build-up is they do this on and off for a long time. Crowds come back, Jungle Boy beats him.
Yeah,
that would be a huge pop and a huge payoff. I thought they got a great amount of time. It wasn't a massively screwy finish. Like, he didn't use the ring or anything like that. So I liked it. It wasn't a screwy finish. And yeah, I think that storyline, you're right, it does have a little bit of the Shawn Michaels kind of feel to it that, people underestimate Jungle Boy and how talented he really is. So hopefully there's a lot more of these to come.
Yeah, it's funny. This match was pretty much perfect for what it was. There really isn't much you can say about it except, if you want to watch a straight up, you know what, in terms of the quarantine era, like what we're going through these past few months, this might be the best straight up wrestling match that any promotion's had in terms of
for sure.
A great in-ring match with a crowd there to react to it too. Like, yeah, awesome stuff. MJF and Jungle Boy, these guys kill it. And shout out to JR, Jungle Jack Perry is still a better name than Jungle Boy. If you disagree, you're an idiot. This is a hill I will die on as well. I am 100% on JR's side here. I like that he won't let it go because Jungle Jack Perry is still a way better name. The guy's famous. His dad was Luke Perry. Used the name, and also Jungle Boy isn't a real name. Like, on a poster, let's say Double or Nothing gets as big as WrestleMania. What could sell more tickets? Jungle Boy? Like, to a casual fan, you're like, what's a Jungle Boy? Or Jungle Jack Perry. Oh, yeah, I get it. He's jungle. He's kind of, crazy. He can age better with Jungle Jack Perry as opposed to Jungle Boy,
Call him Jungle Luke Perry's son. That should be way better than Jungle Boy.
Yeah. Anyway, so that was good. Actually, can I just go back to the casino match and this match? There was a link between them that I forgot that I was kind of annoyed at. So, of course, MJF's bodyguard, Wardlow, he uses, like, the F10, which is like the F5, but he does, like, a discus-type spin before it. In the ladder match, Brian Cage did an F5 as well. Surely only one guy can use that move.
Yeah. I saw it, and I was like, hang on, that's, like, is it actually called the F10?
I feel like Wardlow did it on AEW and someone said, oh, that's the F10, like the commentators. And then they sort of made that joke when Brian Cage did it. It's like, come on, just let one guy do it.
Yeah, it is those kind of big moves, like when you got guys that use, there was someone that used a move, it was basically an RKO, but they called it the TKO.
Okay.
And it's just a big RKO.
Yeah.
I was like, geez, I'm all about them stealing and taking WWE wrestlers, but when you start doing all the moves and then modifying the names a little bit, it's like, just call it something completely different. There was Shida when she won the when she won the title, she did the Shinkasa like 3 or 4 times, and they clearly wanted to say what it was, but they just kept calling it like a running knee. But I think she did it like 3 or 4 times. I was like, it's, I think they need to kind of stray away from
everyone doing
very popular like rest WWE maneuvers. So.
Yeah, well, especially when there's multiple people doing it here as well, it just makes it even weirder. Like Kenny Omega does the V trigger, the running knee, his version, but it feels like a few other guys do that too. It's like, isn't his one meant to be the big one? Anyway, nitpicking, but look. It's a wrestling podcast. Of course, we're going to be nerds and do that.
We are the nitpicking podcast.
Absolutely. Up next, the TNT Championship Tournament Final. Cody defeating Lance Archer and winning that silver unfinished championship belt.
I think it was finished. And someone it's got to the arena and Cody's gone, what the fuck is this? This is not what we ordered.
Yeah.
And then they've last minute had to go, COVID means we couldn't finish the belt. It's like, if you couldn't finish the belt, I call and smell a bit of bullshit there. But yeah, at the moment the belt looks pretty rough, but I have seen what the finish design looks like online, and it looks amazing in gold.
Yeah, it looks pretty cool in gold, and I think everyone had the same question. Why were there houses on a championship title? And then Cody explained that's Ted Turner's mansion, which is like a nod to, hey, Turner has given us, free reign and this great opportunity. So yeah, it is the TNT Championships, named after a goddamn TV channel anyway. Why not have the owner of that channel's house on the belt?
Big power move by Turner. Big power move.
I like it.
What should we have on the sides of the belt? Just my house.
Put my house.
Why not? Yeah. I'm surprised his face isn't on there.
It should. There should be just Ted Turner with his mo, like, on the title. Can I just say, on the Ted Turner thing, growing up as a WWE fan, we all watched those videos, the billionaire Ted. We all heard Vince McMahon slam Ted Turner. And as a kid, we don't know about American business or any of that. We just think, oh yeah, this Ted Turner guy, some redneck, he seems like a bad guy. I like Vince McMahon. As an adult, go back and read about Ted Turner compared to Vince McMahon. They're like, I don't want to say they've rewritten history, but Ted Turner legitimately sounds like a great guy who's done a lot of great things for people, whereas Vince McMahon is Vince McMahon, and we can basically just say that.
Is the opposite.
Yeah. It's really weird that as a kid they taught us Ted Turner's this dumb redneck idiot, But yeah, seems like a great guy in the context of how good a billionaire can be,
It says it all, really, doesn't it?
Yeah.
We were taught because we were taught by the other side. We were taught by the dark side.
Yeah.
When you're working for the Emperor, Darth Vader seems pretty cool.
Absolutely, and that's what's happened. So anyway, I'm all for the TNT title. Hopefully they fix it. In terms of the match, this was fine. It probably wasn't Cody's best pay-per-view match, but he's sort of built up this unrealistic high bar now. So yeah, it was good.
Yeah, that's exactly what I thought. I go, all of his pay-per-view matches have always been just classics. Really, he started against his brother in probably the best match that I've seen over the last 5 or 6 years. And then it was always a good level from there. But then, this one, it lacked a little bit. I did like the little bit of interference by good old Jake the Snake.
Yep.
Who's probably my favorite manager in all of wrestling at the moment. I think he's brilliant, everything he does. And then Tyson getting involved was amazing. Tyson looks like he doesn't know where he is. most of the time. He just got such a confused look on his face. And you're like, do you know where you are? Like, are you? Is it? He's a big advocate for smoking weed, so it's like, are you high as anything, or is it too many punches to the old noggin?
Did he miss his cue as well? Like on that, he walked with the belt and he just stood there while the guys were making their entrance. It was like, move, Mike, move. Yeah.
Like gave Cody the belt and then kind of just stood there awkwardly and then walked out of the ring when he wasn't obviously not meant to, and Cody just kind of looked at him, and the reason he got out of the ring was to go and get his t-shirt.
Yeah, I saw him playing with the shirt. Yeah.
You are ripped.
Yeah.
Don't worry about the t-shirt. Like, for an old bloke too, he's in amazing shape, and he's just gone, yep, I'll leave the ring in this obviously pivotal moment in the pay-per-view. Doesn't matter. I thought it was a weird placing too to put it on like third.
Yeah, it could have gone later. It felt like it was one of the main events. Yeah, it was good. I like Lance Archer too. For a big guy, he's pretty good, you know?
The character's great. I don't think he's such a good character that it doesn't take a hit that he lost.
No.
He still is a powerhouse. This isn't the end of Cody versus Lance, I'm sure. I like that MJF was kind of signaling that he's going for a belt after this. I'd love to see Cody versus MJF and then MJF take the belt off him. I think that would be the next big kind of step for me. If Cody just hangs on to this thing for a year, it's not interesting. But if this is a title that can change hands a lot more than the AEW title, I'd be all about it.
Well, I think what they're doing is they're going with the old school rules of a TV title. This has to be defended on every TV show. So I think Cody is going to have great match after great match, and he will lose it sooner rather than later in the context of, it's not going to be a year title reign. I wouldn't think so.
No,
because
I really hope not.
MJF and Jungle Boy felt like the match that would eventually be for the TNT Championship.
Yeah. And you can do main events that for the TNT title, makes things a lot more interesting on TV.
Yeah.
And you don't have to have Moxley defending his title on an episode of Dynamite.
Yeah. So this was good. And Arn Anderson getting kicked out for cheating was kind of funny. I mean, it shouldn't always be the bad guy manager cheating. I thought that was an interesting choice.
I thought it was clever. What I didn't like about that was the one time in pay-per-view history where a referee comes from backstage and goes, I saw it. I saw a screwy finish, make something happen.
You're
here.
right.
That never happens.
It's like, hey, motherfucker, what about the match before where MJF held the tights? Why didn't you come out then?
Where were you? We were getting a cup of coffee then. Or any other any other pay-per-view, there's always a screwy finish and there's no other referee.
Yeah,
ever.
With interference, we've never seen it happen. Yeah, that's true. Well, they've set a dangerous precedent. We're all going to expect it now.
No more screwy finishes going forward.
Never ever, because of that one guy. Up next was, I'm going to be honest, a match I didn't pay attention to. Chris Statlander defeated Penelope Ford, and of course this match was sort of a replacement anyway. Britt Baker got injured. She was meant to be in the spot instead of Penelope Ford, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, it felt like a replacement match. I was the same. I wasn't paying a huge amount of attention to it, but yeah, there's not really much to say about the match. It was okay, but yeah, it definitely wasn't a pay-per-view match for me.
Yeah, Chris Statlander, I think, is a pretty good wrestler. I don't get the alien gimmick. Like, I really want to enjoy it because I love stupid gimmicks and characters. But we need like a vignette of her being in space or something. Because I know I've heard the argument, but the Undertaker's a zombie and everyone accepts that. Yeah, because we saw him like in his workshop building coffins and shit like that. Yeah. Just show me Chris Statlander like getting out of a spaceship once, you know?
Holding hands with an alien or something. Like, it just, The dead man, it's because he's died before on TV and he's been buried alive and brought back.
Walks out of flaming coffins. Yeah.
I believe that. The fact that they just go, she's an alien because she has weird makeup on. No. Yeah. There's got to be a little bit more effort. And I want to see him at Double or Nothing next year come down in a spaceship.
Yeah. Look,
That'd be sick.
Matt
Pretty
Hardy is just some 40-year-old wrestler who established one day that he has a lake that transforms you and he can become other people. But he put the work in for you to be like, oh, yeah, Matt Hardy just does that. She hasn't yet, so I want the aliens, you know? Well, yeah.
Show me aliens.
Speaking of managers, why can't she have an alien manager who interferes? Just do it once. So we're like, okay, I get it. That would be awesome.
Hornswoggle back and dress him up a little alien outfit. I would back that.
Dress Marco Stunt up as an alien. What's the difference? It'll be fine. So that was that. Up next, I thought this was weird. Dustin Rhodes beating Sean Spears. I thought the presentation and what they did was fine. I thought it was weird that they did this before the Cody match. I don't know why. Something about it felt like this should have happened before Cody won the title. I don't know.
Yeah, it was a strange match that, again, it just didn't feel necessary to me. I thought the build was a little bit weird. It actually, I think this one does affect Sean Spears a little bit. A loss like this, Dustin Rhodes, I think, should have taken the loss and make it a longer running kind of thing. But yeah, it wasn't overly interesting for me, this one again.
Yeah, I like Sean Spears and I like Dustin. I thought this was okay, unless it's going further, you know.
Yeah.
If it's just over there, yeah, it's kind of weird. And we saw Sean Spears get his underwear pulled down and spanked, which is fine. You know, that's wrestling comedy, I guess. But I thought the comment, I forget which commentator said it, but one of them said, oh, Sean Spears auditioning for a prison movie. I know, whatever, like, people are overly sensitive, but can you make that joke now? Because the implication is like, ha, men get raped in jail.
Yeah.
Like, I know that's an old trope, but it's kind of weird.
The commentary, I think it's a whole nother podcast. The commentary on this whole pay-per-view, I love JR. I'm a huge mark for JR. I think he's great, but they were terrible. This whole pay-per-view, it seemed incredibly boring. Like, there was no enthusiasm whatsoever. The amount of mispronounced names, I just mispronounced. That's great. It was pretty rough. I feel that Jericho has done such a good job on commentary that you have these guys come back in and it just doesn't feel like there's any kind of enthusiasm here now.
Yeah, there was more chemistry between Tony and Jericho than there is Excalibur and JR, or Excalibur and Tony. Like, yeah, I don't know. And there were times when they just straight up wouldn't call it because you could tell they thought things were dumb. Like, Marco Stunt did the thing with the mini ladder, and I think one of them said to JR, like, oh, JR, are you going to call that? What did you think of that? And he's like, no comment. Like, just straight up saying, I think this is stupid. Yeah.
Yeah, and there was no pops or anything from them. So, like, you listen to how JR used to be during a ladder match, and he could not believe what was happening. It was, oh, my God, like, all the time. But this time it just was like, he's like, oh, yep, he's come off the top of a ladder. And that was about it. So, yeah, I'd love to see I'd love to see Jericho. Obviously, Jericho was tough for him because he was actually competing. But Excalibur and Jericho as a team, to me, that would be just 10 out of 10 going forward.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sold on Excalibur yet.
I just don't think he's got anyone to bounce off properly.
Maybe.
That's my main kind of thing. I think you put him with someone where he can have a little bit more of a back and forth with. He'd be a lot better. Yeah.
Although I will say I find it funny that he's trying to steal Vince McMahon's unbelievable and make it his catchphrase. It's a weird choice of thing to steal because he did it like 5 times. I was like, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Trying to make that yours. Moving on, up next, the AEW Women's Championship match. Hikaru Shida defeating Nyla Rose. I thought this was pretty fun, and I thought Hikaru Shida winning was probably the right choice. Feels like she's been number 1 contender forever. I'm all for it. I think she's really talented. People seem to like her. It's working. It's good.
Yeah, I thought other than the Stampede match of the night for me. I thought they were great. The back and forth between these two was incredible. it's been very well documented that AEW doesn't have the best women's division out there. I think WWE have them covered for that. But in terms of how this was put together, it didn't feel like your typical kind of, oh, yeah, we know what's going to happen women's match recently in AEW. And I think there's been a lot of that. I had no idea which way it was going to go. The whole match, I kind of thought, I'm like, Nyla's going to come back here. Surely she's down, but she's going to drop her with something heavy, and that'll be over. But I love the fact that it was no DQ and no count out. I'm all for going forward. All championship matches should be no DQ and no count out.
The old video game rule.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't want it. I want people to go all out for these kind of matches. Bit of pun work there. I like it. And yeah, I think having this as no DQ, it adds another element to it that, and you can see they got 16 minutes 40 and the AEW World Championship match got 15 minutes 30. So they got more time than the guys. And it was such a good match.
Yeah, it was really good. I think Hikaru Shida is pretty much their ace of the women's division. Her being champ is going to be great. And yeah, I think the matches are just going to be very good. It's a real shame Britt Baker is injured because what a perfect bad guy she is. And yeah, the feud would have been awesome going forward. But hey, they're saying maybe it's just a couple of months that she'll be out. It could be worse. But yeah, I think that's something that's going to be really big for AEW when Britt Baker is back. So, and I think having the title on Hikaru Shida, it's going to be good going forward in terms of, great matches.
Yeah, surely.
Then up next, as you mentioned, the AEW World Championship match, Jon Moxley defeating Mr. Brody Lee. This was fun. I wasn't expecting it to be this much of a hardcore match as well. They sort of, just brawled for the most part. It was good. I go back and forth on Brody Lee, Luke Harper, whatever, on what I think of him. He's very good. This match was very good. I thought his choice of outfit was the best he's had in a while because some of his AEW outfits have been, for whatever reason, not flattering. Like, I don't know. They just haven't looked right. But he sort of looked like mid-90s Diesel with the black and grey. That's what I thought. Anyway, this was good.
Yeah, I thought it was unfortunately Moxley recently. I love him. He's my favourite AEW wrestler, but it has been a little bit predictable in a way. He's going to go fairly hectic. And if he doesn't hit his old DDT in the match, then like early on or midway through, you're like, well, he's just going to hit that at the end and it's over. I love the spot on the stairs at the ring side, going straight through that. It sucked me in because I had no idea if it was real or not. I was like, that didn't look like it was meant to happen. And so it obviously was, but I thought that was such a huge spot that I hadn't really seen done for a while. And yeah, Moxley's he does get better and better. He's such a versatile wrestler that continues to impress every single time. But it did feel a little bit, it needed another element to it. I think there should have been something else in there because. I didn't feel as satisfied as all these other matches, but I'd love to see this keep going again because the Dark Order need Moxley, and Moxley needs the Dark Order at the moment.
I think it will keep going. They did a good job of Brody Lee not necessarily losing. They kept saying, "Oh no, it was a referee's decision." Yeah, he didn't tap out. He didn't get pinned. Yeah, the referee stopped it. And then I think it was JR.
Technical submission.
Yeah, I think it was Tony or JR who jumped in there, though, and kind of ruined that because they were like, no, he didn't answer the referee's call. He did lose. And it was like, well, don't think you knew what they were trying to do there. But anyway, no one's going to pay attention to that.
No.
I thought the last 5 minutes from the ringside area getting broken to the ending was awesome. Like the sense of urgency of Brody Lee bleeding, Moxley just saying, well, fuck this, and just like kneeing him and elbowing him, hitting the 2 DDTs, and then thinking, all right, what else can I do? Choke this guy out. Really, really cool ending.
Also, not a non-DQ match, too.
Yeah, it wasn't. Technically, it wasn't.
Yeah, which is really weird because Moxley smashed him over the head with a poker chip. a big poker chip. But shouldn't that be that other referee from the start have gone out and gone, he's not allowed to do that?
He's just got a bone to pick with Arn Anderson, that ref. That's it. He doesn't care about any of this. Look, the poker chip was plastic. Maybe there's technically discretion that the referees are like, steel chair, no, steel steps, plastic poker chips, whatever.
Plastic chip, okay.
That's fine. You know, it's no harder than slamming his head into, you know, the ringside area.
Yeah, it's a weird one. Look, I'm as we've said many times, it's not a proper sport, so we can't say, well, no. But come on, it's got to be the same across the board. Otherwise, the suspension of disbelief just gets tangled a little bit. So, I thought it was good. But yeah, you got to make him no DQ so we can see more of that blood and gore that Moxley's known for.
Well, I think that's where this goes next, because Brody Lee can say that you were saved by the referee. I was never going to pass out because I believe in the Dark Order or whatever. So maybe he can say, our next match, there are no rules. There can only be a winner. And then maybe that naturally feels like you do last man standing or some type of knockout match.
Yeah, I'd love to see him in a last man standing. I'd love to see Brody Lee then get the win and the Dark Order has the belt for a bit, and Moxley trying to get it back from the Dark Order. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, why not? That'll feel like, you know, Kane or The Undertaker getting a short title reign when they would beat Austin, and Austin would have to, you know, fight back and win it back. That was cool. And then getting to the main event, and I'm glad they put this on last because, Jesus, what could top this? Stadium Stampede, the Elite defeating the Inner Circle. We can't even go through all the highlights. This was my match of the night and one of the matches of the year, I thought. So many people had commented that, poor Matt Hardy, WWE had taken what he had sort of revolutionized and they used it for the Boneyard and the Firefly and Money in the Bank. Well, Matt Hardy took his cinematic wrestling match back with this match, I thought. This is up there. All of these matches have been great. Like, have won every pay-per-view, but yeah, this was as good as any of them.
This is Matt Hardy's fuck you to WWE. It really is. It's such a middle finger. It's so unbelievably good, and it just proved that Vince cooked it by letting Matt go, because he is unbelievabably good now. Like, just having my favorite part of the whole pay-per-view was the pool section where him and Santana and Ortiz, where he turned into different characters, and then the underwater shot, how he's just going like that. Oh, like.
Then he brought back the Matt facts as well from V1. It was awesome.
Yeah. It's like, how are you allowed to do that? Surely they've got that trademark.
Yeah, that feels like it should be a trademark.
Yeah. And they even said, they're like, here's version 1 Matt Hardy. I was like, I'm pretty sure there's a lawsuit coming out of this. He's stepped up to another level altogether. And I love what they're doing with him. Everything about this match was brilliant. The whole Hangman riding in on a horse, on an actual, like a real life horse, chasing down Sammy Guevara. Sammy Guevara was, I think, nearly the MVP apart from Matt Hardy. Everything he did in this was just it was believable. He's gone up another level too. Everybody in this match was just, I was entertained for half an hour. It's a long time in wrestling. Half an hour in wrestling is about as long as you can get, really, apart from an Iron Man match. So this is what wrestling should be at the moment. It's have these camera cutaway kind of matches you can do. You can film it over a whole night because it doesn't really matter. It's the Hollywood kind of factor was amazing. Yeah,
it was really good. Production was great. So many moments that, I feel like are going to stay GIFs and stay videos that are posted and talked about forever. The bar fight, the horse, the rolling Northern Light suplexes across the whole yard.
The whole field.
That was hilarious. It was so dumb. Just Jericho wanting a review of Aubrey's referee call and going into the ref booth, and him Judas affecting the Jacksonville Jaguars mascot. Like,
it was, and then the rolling over of the the paint.
The line.
They did it all over Jericho's face.
Like a cartoon, just...
So funny.
Yeah, I thought the bar section with Hangman Page was my favorite. I think Adam Page, like, it sort of felt iffy at the start of AEW when they put him in a title match right away. There were some people saying, oh, well, we don't really know him as a character. But Adam Page has been one of the most well-progressed characters of all of AEW, and I'm glad that he's back because the whole drinking thing, the whole sort of not fully being in the elite, he's sort of his own guy. Yeah, it just gives everything he does a little bit of something different. Like him sitting at the bar alone and wanting to fight on his own and then having to take Kenny's help. It just felt cool. Yeah. Like you got the story in that little section.
Absolutely. I love it. I love the ending too. I thought it was brilliant. Everything about it. And then you've got this week on Dynamite too, they're having like a rally party, the Inner Circle. So it's like I think they're calling it like a pep party or whatever it is. It's like, I love that they're not just breaking up now or doing something separately. They're like, no, we're still the best. Yep. It's old school DX kind of factors. No matter what happened, they were still the best.
Still going to be dicks no matter what.
Yeah.
I think the Inner Circle, like, I know when it formed, so many people were like, oh, well, this faction doesn't make sense. I don't get why they're all friends. It just makes so much sense. For whatever reason, these guys have great chemistry. Santana and Ortiz, if they came in as just LAX, as just a tag team, we wouldn't really see this side of their personality. They both feel like, you know, their own character. They're both kind of funny in their own way. They're both great wrestlers. Sammy Guevara, super talented. Yeah. And Sammy Guevara too. Sammy Guevara would have made it eventually anyway, but now he feels like, you know, the next Chris Jericho. He's got that vibe and he's getting this great spotlight. Jake Hager, I still think is so good in vignettes and characters and in a match like this, and he gets the chance to shine as like this silent, unstoppable bad guy who's still willing to, you know, make a joke of himself when he can. And then Chris Jericho is unbelievable. Yeah. The one thing he's never done, lead a faction, and now he's as good as anyone who's ever done it.
He's the best faction in the last 10 years. By a mile.
Inner Circle should stay a thing for a very long time. The great thing is, even if Jericho retired as an in-ring wrestler, he could be their manager, like J.J. Dillon was for the Four Horsemen or whatever. Like, whatever, the Inner Circle still exists.
Absolutely. Well, I think that's a great way to wrap it up. Is just we just talk about how good the Inner Circle is every week.
Yeah, absolutely. AEW, Double or Nothing, Inner Circle, and the Elite stole the show. What an absolutely ridiculous match. Couldn't recommend that enough. A fun show, really. These guys shouldn't be putting on shows at this time of our life anyway. You know, global pandemics going on. So if we use that to sort of frame our opinion of it, it was great. You know?
Yeah.
This
absolutely.
show shouldn't exist, but it did.
It really did. Yeah. Every single pay-per-view, as you said, should have some kind of cinematic match going forward. Makes total sense. Every single wrestling promotion should learn a lot from how this was all put together because it was fantastic.
Yeah. I like it. Overall, I'd say, recommend it. Watch it. If you didn't watch it, if you didn't see it, check it out. At least half of the matches are going to be worth your time.
It's a good way to kill some time because what else have we got to do, right?
Absolutely. So on that note, we'll wrap it up. Keep following us on Twitter, on Facebook, The Wide World of Wrestling. We'll be back this week, wrapping up, the wider world too, taking a look at WWE, see what they're building towards for the greatest match ever at Backlash. We definitely have to discuss that.
We've got a lot to talk about.
Yeah, so we will catch you next time.
Love this podcast? Support it and sponsor today. Simply head to AuscastNetwork.com for details.